What's going on, everybody? It's David Terrell Green. Today we're going to be talking about my short film, Clean Mud, Dirty Water. For those who don't know, I released this short film on July the 5th, 2020. And this process is probably the most interesting process that I have done so far. Now, I'm not a stranger to making short films. A matter of fact, this is my third one. But like I said in previous videos, this is definitely the one that has probably the most quality and production that goes into it. And so there is definitely a lot of stories and behind the scene things that people probably don't know about. So today, I'm going to talk about it. Today, we're going to cover Mr. Florence meets Jonathan, the second scene of the film. Side note, if you haven't had a chance to look at this new film, stop what you're doing. Take a look. Hope you like it. Also, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We drop in brand new videos daily, every single Wednesday. But be sure to stay around because we may drop some more content throughout the week. You never know. Also, be sure to follow my good collaborators, Mr. John Gutowski, GutTube, on the link below, and also Mr. Kevin Kabuckets on the link below. These gentlemen have served 100% in the creation of this process. And today, we're going to go through it. So, let's get started. This scene here is a very unique scene. So this is when Jonathan meets Mr. Florence. And so this has Andre McGraw and my guy Flynn Wilkes in it. And so this was, this was a pretty interesting scene because number one, this was my very first time working with Andre, so it was very interesting to see how we were able to kind of like work off of each other and see how things work. So we started off with the water splashing on the face. I thought that was really cool to start off a scene with because it kind of throws you into the action. And then when we were in the cutting room, Gut suggested that we start it from like literally the water jumping on my face because the way it was filmed and written was there was a bag that was taken off my head and then there was water thrown on my face. But he suggested, let's just shock them with it and just go straight into the water. Now, another fun note about this is I was filming this while I had a concussion. So what happened, what had happened was I was playing basketball. I went to go play basketball on a Sunday, I believe. It was either a Sunday or Monday. I forgot which day it was. But at that time, I would usually go and run a game of basketball about two days a week. And so this particular day, I was diving for the ball. I, tapped it away on defense and I went to go and recover it. And as I was going down, the person that also dove for it, his knee collided with the back of my head. And so that really spelled trouble because I was instantly dizzy when it happened. Now, a rational human being would be like, you know what? That's it. That's it for me. I'm not playing anymore. I'm done. But because I'm so competitive, for some reason, I have no idea why I did this. I decided to play another 5 games. I decided to play another 5 games and then drive home and then go to work the next day. And so at that point, I felt really, really bad. And I'm talking really bad. And so I told my job, listen, I think this is what happened. Turns out I did have a concussion and they sent me home and I wasn't able to work. And, I had to, it was a long story. So here comes the film shoot. So I'm supposed to be going to the film shoot to rehearse a fight scene literally 2 days after this concussion happens. So now it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to actually do that because with this fight scene, you have to rumble and tussle and do all this other stuff, move bodies and stuff while I have a concussion. And that's not necessarily the safest thing to do. So we had to compromise and try to figure things out on how we can make that work. So here we go. So here's the part. So we changed it up. And so the bag goes over my head. They throw me on the ground. And so all of that stuff, and even though it was a lot different than the quote unquote fight scene we were supposed to have, let me tell you, it still hurt. You know what I'm saying? So note to self, be very careful what you do before you start having to film. I really enjoyed working on this scene. I found out about this spot when I was going to a recording session. I was recording some music and the engineer, he's like, all right, just give me a couple more minutes. I'm just finishing up this music video with these guys. And so I look in and I don't see any guys. I said, what guys? I'm saying he's doing a music video, but I don't see anybody here. I thought they doing something outside or something. And then, you know, I look and I see a little hatch. I open up the hatch, out comes smoke. I'm assuming it was fog, hopefully. Maybe I got high, maybe I didn't. But I looked in there and there's this space. And these guys have, like, you know, the colored lights and they got the camera and the music playing and they're rapping to the camera. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is it. This is the spot that we're going to use, because at that time we had no idea where we were going to film, and like filming was supposed to begin relatively soon, you know. So it was one of those things where it's just like, okay, we need to find somewhere quick. When it comes to those bigger productions, a lot of times what we do is we do location scouting. And so when we do location scouting, we have to make sure that everything fits with the vision of the script, the vision of the film. And if there's certain things that aren't going to work, we need to find a way that we can compromise it so that we can get a vision that we're supposed to do. Going back to the fight scene thing, here's the thing for independent filmmakers. And I'm not saying I'm like Scorsese with it, but one thing I have learned as I have progressed and as I've gotten better, you don't need a fight scene for everything. I think fight scenes sometimes, especially with us independent filmmakers, they almost become like a cop-out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like kind of like a quick plea, you know, like a quick draw to be like, hey, everybody, look at what we can do. You know what I'm saying? Like where a fight scene, it doesn't necessarily fit into a scene. The exact opposite happens, and it actually strengthens the story more and builds even more tension instead of going with that cheap Hollywood cheese. And I'm not saying that fight scenes are bad. I'm not saying that shootout scenes are bad, but it's just like, but sometimes for the sake of your story, it doesn't necessarily need that. You don't have to sacrifice cheap theatrics, you know what I'm saying, to get people's attention. You can keep people's attention, but you have to work 10 times harder. And that was the one thing I definitely enjoyed with this scene, is that even though we weren't able to do the fight scene because of my injury, it still turned out to be good regardless. Think about it this way. Us having a fight scene would almost compromise the character of Jonathan. We see him at the beginning of the film. He's beaten up, he's broken, he's battered. His whole hand has been broken. A lot of things has been going wrong. So now we skip over to seeing him try to make this type of terrible pitch to Mr. Florence. And you can tell that he is uncomfortable with the fact that nobody is reacting to what he's saying in any type of way whatsoever. He can't tell if they're feeling it or if they're not feeling it. He is just left in the dark, and you can tell how uncomfortable this makes him feel.
How much product on hand?
Less than half.
So then he begins to talk himself into more problems, saying stuff like scared money don't make none, basically implying that Mr. Florence is scared to do business with him. Jonathan is in over his head. So imagine Jonathan being in this meeting with Mr. Florence. Things are going horribly wrong. He doesn't know how to communicate. He's feeling, you know, awkward and uncomfortable because they're not reacting to this pitch that he thought was going to work. And then all of a sudden he goes Bruce Lee and starts fighting people. And even though he loses, he still holds his own. Doesn't necessarily fit into the vision of the character, would it? So instead of Jonathan being able to fight back and have a chance and get a couple licks in, no, we take that away from him and put him even more at the mercy of a notorious criminal like Mr. Florence.